Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys, by popular demand I guess, another one of those work with me videos. So guys, again, these aren't ones that I actually travel to these places, but I am scouting these places out for you guys on the interwebs. So I am going to say right off the bat, I did have some troubles with the computer, which is why I stopped doing these in the first place, and with the issues I had, I probably will not be able to continue doing these until I get a new computer, which is going to be a hot minute from now, because I'm not buying computers every single day for a new YouTube video, believe it or not. But with that said and done though, guys, I'm just going to dive right on into it. Spoiler alert, it looks like Casper, Wyoming is the one that won. So with that said and done, let's hop into the screen share. Alright, so as you guys can see right here, we're on the YouTube channel, obviously my YouTube channel. Just wanted to say, guys, we're up to 736 subscribers. We're getting pretty close to the 1,000 mark, which, remember guys, I said once we hit 1,000 I'd have a giveaway. If you guys remember the giveaway books, I have them on the shelf behind me. Not going to show you those because I'm in the little mode right now on my screen. But with that said, I just wanted to thank you guys for that really quick. But with all that said, once again, here's the little voting thing that I had for where we were going. So it looks like we're doing Casper, Wyoming, as I already said. And yes, I know I did a little joke down here. Casper the Friendly Ghost, I mean Wyoming. I was sort of proud of that one. But as you guys can see right below that, we also had the voting on where we ended up going for, what we ended up doing for this video. Sorry for those of you that wanted a normal video, but hey, I do a lot of really good content in these walk with me, work with me videos as well. I explain a lot of things that I just don't really get around to in normal videos because it doesn't always come to my mind. There are things that I see in these work with me videos that just sort of jog my memory of, oh, this is actually something that I've come across, this is something I've talked to someone on, all that sort of stuff. So I mean, yes, normal videos do have their appeal, but these work with me ones are pretty neat as well. So with that said, I'm just going to exit out of this. The reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want my computer pooping on me because I have too many tabs open, because computers don't like having 500,000 tabs open. So with that said, I like to start most of my things off with booksalefinder.com. The reason for that, guys, is because booksalefinder.com, I buy most of my good books that I get from Friends of the Library sales. As such, I like to start my searches from this point. When I get to start my searches from this point, I'm able to see, well, do I actually want to stay in my hometown, or do I still want to go to that town over there because there's actually a bigger sale over here that is a better deal or has more books, or I've been to this one before and they have a lot more antique books in my case. Or if you guys like doing science fiction books, you can be like, well, I know this particular Friends of the Library sale always has, like, for some reason, 1,000,000 science fiction books. So that's something to keep in mind. So for me, I am obviously doing this for Casper, Wyoming. I'm not from there, not going there, but if you guys live around there, that could be something for you guys to check out. If you guys do live near Casper, you understand that Jackson is a long way away from you. It's all the way on the west side of Wyoming, and Riverton is just a bit to the west, and it is a bit of a drive, but if you live out in the country, as Casper is a little out in the country, you probably are willing to do a little bit of a drive. I know most people that live in the country are. So with all that said, I'm just going to exit out of that. Going to show you guys the Jackson one really quick, because again, I know you're probably not going to go to that one, but the Jackson one I thought was interesting, is worth mentioning stuff on. So it's at the county library. I like doing the ones at the actual libraries. They do have some of these things on this list that are actually at local stores that advertise here, but I personally prefer the library ones. So with that said, it looks like they have a sale once a month. I like the once a month sales. I've had a whole lot of luck with the once a month sales, especially when the towns that those once a month sales are in are good sized towns. Like, not saying they have to be 1,000,000 people, but I find that if a town is at least 25,000 people ish, that's a very rough number, but if it's roughly that size, I find I can normally get some really good books. Of course, I've been to some that have less people in the town. I still have some amazing sales. I've been to ones that have more and have either amazing sales or terrible sales. It's all over the board. So you guys sort of have to check these places out. Go at least once to see sort of what it's like. But with that said, they have a bag sale, which is amazing. I love bag sales. You can get some great deals at bag sales. It's going on Thursday, which is interesting. It's sort of nice that I'm doing this video right now. Personally, I'm not entirely certain if that actually means it's going on Thursday. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, it is going on Thursday. That's pretty cool. I had to check the day right here. As you guys can see, I'm recording this on the 14th. I'm recording this on Wednesday. I know it's a day ahead of time, but this is so I can have the video actually come out 8:30 for Thursday morning. So with that said, yeah, if you guys are watching this, you might as well stop watching right now and getting on to Jackson and maybe watch on the way. Be sure to have it be hands-free. Be sure to not look at the thing if I say look at this, because you guys are driving. But with that said, though, that's the fun thing about the bad thing, though, as I was already sort of alluding to, is you probably need to getting on if you are watching this, and that's sort of the downside to some of these work with me videos, is sometimes it is a little bit too late of a heads up for this sort of thing. And in addition to that, there are some other issues of when I do so far ahead of time. Sometimes a lot of people don't have their things posted just yet for estate sales, garage sales, all that sort of stuff, which I'll get into in a little bit. But with that said, the sale goes on from 9:30 to 5:30, which is pretty nice. That gives you a nice opening, a nice long time to do it. It's sort of a bummer that it closes at 5:30, considering it's a weekday, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that are working and won't be able to make it. But it's a $1 bag sale. I love those bag sales. Honestly, if I was still working and like still working for someone else and wanted to build up my business, I might actually take off work to do something like this, because it could be a great way to build up your business for pennies on the dollar. I mean, yeah, you're missing out on a day's wages, but you are getting some really good money potentially in these books. With that said, though, this Jackson one, again, I know we're not going there. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's an important thing. And guys, as I'm talking about all this stuff, feel free to comment into the live chat section. I'm playing this as a premiere video, and I actually will be here with you guys answering questions live as we're doing this. I know this part right here is a replay, but I am actually in the comment section where you guys can chat with me and ask all these sorts of questions about this particular thing. And I know you might not live in the Casper area, but this video still can be really good for giving you ideas on what to do for your own quote-unquote homework for doing your own sales. But, well, book buying trips for book sales, to buy your own books, to then sell your own books, all that sort of stuff. I recommend people do their homework. That way that you can almost guarantee that you're going to make money on these trips, because at the end of the day, if you don't do your homework before you go somewhere, you're going to show up and there might not be anything for you to buy, and if that happens, you're wasting a lot of gas. So with that said, though, back onto this. It has a bookstore. I like when these Friends of the Library sales have an ongoing bookstore, because oftentimes it means they have a few more books, and I'm not entirely sure why this is the case. I would suspect it's because people know for a fact that the library is taking book donations, because like up until I started this business, I did not know you could donate books to the library that they sold. I thought the books you donated went into the library itself, but it's like, oh, no, actually, we throw them away if they're terrible, or we get rid of them here if they're bad, or if we don't want them, or da-da-da-da-da. But other libraries, they do sell it, and I suspect if you have a bookstore, you are, as a local, more apt to donate your books to that place as opposed to a Goodwill or something like that. But with that said, bookstore hours, so you guys could stop by whenever. It's got, well, not whenever it's open. It's got 2,000 books, which is a very good number. I'm suspecting those 2,000 books are most likely available, and probably even more books than that, at the Friends Library monthly sale. So keep that in mind. It's really cool. Here's something interesting, though. Some books are removed informally. I'm not sure entirely what that means. Maybe it's removed from the library. Or maybe it means that they sell them on their own. I'm not sure, but not thoroughly picked over, which is good. No scanners allowed in Book Nook, which is the book store. It doesn't look like that is the case for the monthly sale, which is good for those of you that do this scanning. With that said, though, on to the one that we are actually quote-unquote going to go to for this weekend. So this weekend it is June 16th, which is a Friday, and it says 11 to 5. They have books, DVDs, and LPs. Sadly, they don't have any information whatsoever about this particular sale, so you sort of have to guesstimate on some of these things, which is, yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but sometimes that's what happens. So guys, as you can see, I already have thrift shops pulled up. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but right here we have Riverton, and it's not a huge town, but I mean, this is definitely a good-sized town, and since it's a good-sized town, I would suspect that this Friends of the Library sale has at least 1,000 books, at least on the absolute minimum. I would suspect that many from a town roughly this big. I know this is a very big estimation because, again, they don't tell you, but that is just my estimation. I would suspect it's a lot more than that, and personally, if I did live in Casper, sorry, I just clicked the wrong thing. If I did live in Casper and I was trying to figure out something to do this weekend and I didn't want to do thrift shops and I wanted to do a Friends of the Library sale, and guys, I have thrift shops near me, but I still, like in real life, guys, when I do my book buying trips, I have Goodwill Outlet near me. You guys know how much money I've made at Goodwill Outlet. You know how much I've made potentially from some of the other thrift shops. I still go on these long, far-flung journeys, just because it allows me to get some incredible deals with a whole bunch of books I don't normally come across, a lot more antique books, a lot more of this. There's a lot of different flavors of things that I can find when I'm going on these long, far-flung trips. That is why I personally try to focus on those as much as I can. Plus, I just enjoy doing the long drives as well. It's really nice, and it's nice to have it so the government is actually giving me tax benefits for these long drives. So that's something that's nice. But with that said, I suspect with them not posting any information that the deals for these books might not be amazing, but since it's Wyoming, there's a lot less people in Wyoming. Since there's less people wherever there's more rural of areas, generally the deals that you get on the books are a whole lot better. Like if I was doing this same sort of thing in Portland, they'd probably be charging me $5 a book on the higher end, $2 a book on a lower end, which is insane. But since this is Wyoming, there's a good chance you might be paying 25 cents a book. And if you guys remember the last thing that we looked at, it was $1 per bag. Most of the places that I go to here in the Portland metro area and most of Oregon, it's $5 a bag on the low end. I've been to some that it's $10 a bag. And then of course there's the occasional place where I do get like $2 a bag, or a buck a bag. It's awesome when I can do a buck a bag. But by and large, the more rural of an area you go, the better deal you can get. So with that said, I'm going to move this one all the way over here, just to keep it in mind, because this is what we're quote unquote going to go to so far. We'll see what happens as we go on from here. So first off, we do estatesales.org. There is no results. And then I hopped on over to Riverton and did 100 miles from there, no results. So then we hopped on over to .net, no results. So guys, when you have more rural of areas, sometimes no one posts anything about their specific area for for estate sales, that sort of stuff on these particular apps, websites. So that is something that is a bit of a risk, and it does happen sometimes, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. So from there, when I saw that was not the case, I actually hopped onto Facebook and I looked for estate sales and whatnot near Casper, and estate sales here and here and here. I couldn't really find anything going on right now because, as I've mentioned already, people don't post these things until the day of most of the time. They don't think, there might be someone who's trying to plan ahead for the weekend on what they might do. Most people are like, I'm doing this now. Cool, no one showed up. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I didn't advertise until the day of. Who would have thought? A lot of people don't do that. So if you guys are thinking about doing an estate sale, please be sure to give people a heads up. And if not, well, you're missing out. So with that said, though, I did end up looking for books right after I did estate sales, and books did give me a little bit more of a chance. It did do a little bit better for me. So with this said, though, guys, I just wanted to go off of two of the ones that I already did find. I'm not saying that either of these are going on right now. In fact, I know for a fact one of these has already passed. But this one right here, this garage sale, obviously it was posted at some point. It doesn't say at what point, but I would suspect that this might be one that's going on right now. It could be worth checking out a little bit more. You guys can always reach out to the person who did the listing. Their thing is always down at the bottom of this, and I'm trying not to show off people's names if I don't need to. I know I'm showing off this person's address. Not my fault. They posted it on the internet, and that's why I'm not doing the name right now. But with that said, people do post their garage sales on Facebook Marketplace, so keep an eye out for that. If you guys are heading out, say on Friday, since that Friends of the Library sale is Friday, be sure to check out Facebook Marketplace for either your town or the town you're going to, or potentially, I do this quite often, towns along the way of where you're going. So with that said, on to this next one. This is an estate sale that has already passed. So this one, it was on June 9th, but the reason why I'm showing you guys it is because this one photo right here. So I went through all the different photos, and yes, I know this one's not happening right now, but you could potentially reach out to this person, ask if some of their things are still available, because this set of encyclopedias right here. So I have actually sold this particular Encyclopedia Britannica set before. I want to say it's from the 80s if I recall correctly. It could be the 70s or the 80s. I don't actually remember. I know in the 80s they did start doing the black cover ones, so it might be a little bit older than that. I just do not recall off the top of my head. But with that said, these brown ones, they are one of the ones that I've had a lot of luck selling quicker than others. I think I sold my set of them for $160 plus shipping, and usually, guys, encyclopedia sets like this you can pay $10 to $25 for. Personally, I like to pay something more along the lines of $10 because, oh yes, I'm still going to make $160 selling it. But let's face it, guys, you have to buy, for a set that large, you have to buy at least 3 boxes. You have to, of course, guys, buy or pay shipping. Be sure to have it so buy or pay shipping, or else you're going to lose your shirt. But you're going to buy all these boxes. These boxes are going to be heavy. Moving these stupid books out of this person's house is heavy, and the person ends up, I mean, they don't have to transport them all themselves. They end up making out. I mean, most people might not be too happy getting $10 for these sorts of books. They know that they have more value than that, but the problem is, are you going to sell it yourself, my dude? No. Which means if you're not going to sell it yourself on your own, you're going to throw it away, and it's going to take a lot of space in your garbage can, because those things literally can fill up half your garbage can, and no one wants to fill up half their garbage can. So people will normally take $10 for a set of encyclopedias like this. Of course, I have gone towards $25 a couple of times before. I've of course also spent more than that as well. I think I've spent as much as $80 for a set of them before, but guys, you can definitely get by spending a whole lot less than that, because people do want to get these things gone most of the time. So that is something about encyclopedia sets that I want to get into before I hop on over to this part. So guys, again, I looked up books, Casper, Wyoming, within 100 miles. So you have some books here, people listed different ones. I would not buy any of these right off the bat, just because they want to make a little bit more money on them. Of course, I could reach out to these people and be like, hey, I'll take, if all these are from the same person, I'd be like, hey, I'll buy all your books right now for $50 or something like that. But I'm not about to buy these books at these prices. This is too much. These great books, great idea books, I have purchased before. I've sold a couple before. They do take a little bit of time to sell, and I would not be spending $10 for them. Personally, if I was buying these, I'd do something like $2. And I know it sounds like you're lowballing all these different people, but hey, sometimes you gotta lowball. $10 for all these books, that actually could be a good deal for you guys. It's in Douglas, wherever that is. I actually can hop on over to this really quick and see if I can find Douglas. And I don't see it off the top of my head, or top of my eyes, whatever you call it for seeing it right away. But yeah, don't see anything about Douglas, so that's up to you guys to figure out. $5, if it is all these books, could be worth doing. Personally, I don't like spending that much, especially for like more modern of paperbacks, but potentially you could still make some money on that, especially if you're doing book scanning, because some of these books might be worth a little bit more than that, and one of them might be able to pay for the whole thing. But again, that is still on the higher end of what I'd like to spend. That's a no. Good books to read. For $5, if you're getting all of these, it's not necessarily a terrible idea. Terrible deal. You are, of course, driving for it, but it is in Casper, and if we're doing this based on doing it in Casper, I think that is a win. So this could be a good one for doing. $40 for a Twilight hardcover set. I don't think I'd spend $40 for it. I think I'd spend up to $7. I know you could sell it for more than that, most likely, but I don't think I'd go a penny over $7. Personally, I'd want to spend more like $2. And that's just because they made so many of them, and they're not the most rare. And I haven't sold, I don't know if I've sold any sets of them. I don't know if I've sold any Twilight books. I don't have a lot of luck with how much they're worth. And by that I mean how little they're worth. Some books here, I don't see anything too exciting about these. These could definitely be worth something. They do seem rather niche of what they are, but it could be worth doing. Some Lego instruction books. People actually do buy these Lego manuals, so if you guys do see them, they could be worth selling. People can pay good money for them. It's just up to you guys for doing. We have a mass market paperback lot, it looks like, plus some trade paperbacks. I don't know if any of these are hardcovers, but some popular authors. These would sell. Could be nice to fill your store for $5 if you're brand new. Could be worth doing. I personally wouldn't spend $5 for these. I think I'd spend more like $3. But again, I'm just normally thinking about lowballing a lot of these because they are more modern of books that have less value. So that's the only reason why I'm thinking about these lowballs. I know I mentioned normally spending between $1 and $2 for my books, but guys, those are for the antique books that I do. My antique books, I'm able to sell for a good amount of money. If I'm buying brand new or newer, like within the last 40 years worth of books, generally those books are not worth nearly what a lot of the antiques I deal with are worth. So, kids books, I would not spend $40 whatsoever, but these Diary of a Wimpy Kid books can actually be worth a good amount of money if you can get a good set of them or a lot of them, something along those lines. Of course, you're not going to make $1 million on them, but they still can be worth some good money. I think I've sold a couple lots of them in the past. They're definitely a good one. Some nursing school books, guys. I just sold quite a few nursing books for nursing school days ago, I think I sold one, and then a couple weeks before that, because I just bought a huge set of them. You could definitely make some good money selling, buying these for $5. Could be a good deal. Personally, I would not pay the $5 until I was able to at least look up one or two of these books and see that I could actually make money on them. But I think $5, if you're buying all these books, could be a very good deal. Again, I would wait until I actually knew for a fact I could make money on these. But since they actually post the photo of them right here, I can actually just look it up right now on eBay and be like, oh, this is worth this, this is worth this. Yes, I'll totally take these. So that is something to keep in mind. Educational books, if this is $10 for one book, there's no way. But it says books, so I'm suspecting there's more. And then onto this, we have an encyclopedia set. We have some Guardian books. I have not seen these Guardian ones for a long time. Since these Guardian books are Scholastic, I suspect they're not worth a whole lot. The Scholastic books are generally not worth a ton, since they print 5.5 million and they put book sales in every single kid's school, so they are all over the board. They have been everywhere. There are billions of copies. If anyone ever wanted one, they probably bought it at their local school library. They have an encyclopedia set here, though, for $10. Remember what I said about encyclopedia sets? If I can get it for $10, I am a happy stinking camper, so I would buy this one in an instant. I don't care if the person says I have to show up at 3 a.m. to pick them up. I'll show up. I'll probably be strapped, but I'll show up. It's a little sketchy doing it at 3 a.m., but potentially I do it. Book series set, no idea what this is necessarily, but it could be worth checking out. Battletech book collection. So guys, science fiction books, people pay an arm and a leg for a lot of these, so it could be worth checking out. Personally, I don't specialize in selling used science fiction books, but there are quite a few people that do, and do very well for themselves with those, so those could be worth checking out. And that's not to say I don't look for science fiction books when I'm out shopping for books. I definitely do look for them, because I have had success with them, but I just don't, where I shop, I don't come across enough of them, which is really a bummer. With that said, onto this books and stationaries. If this was $1 for all these books, I would totally buy that. $100 for Dr. Seuss books. Guys, the problem with Dr. Seuss books, and I'm going to actually end this little part shortly for just going through all these books, because I can go on and on forever. But the problem with Dr. Seuss books is they have their copyright year, and that's not always their print year. They don't always update the year for it. So you can find a Dr. Seuss book from 1966, and they have like 65 million of them, because they can seem, as far as I can tell, they seem to have continued printing under that year. I could totally be wrong with that, but they seem to have continued saying it's 1966, even if they were printing much later than that. That is just something I saw for a lot of the ones that I personally went through, and I could totally be misjudging things on that. These, of course, would be vintage and newer books, which is not my specialty, but that is just something that I personally saw. And since that seems to be the case, a lot of the books that I came across that were Dr. Seuss were not worth nearly what you thought they might be otherwise. So I would not spend $100 on this, but I would potentially check it out if I had nothing else to do. And with that said, I just wanted to hop on down to this one right here, which is the last one I really want to show you guys. Another encyclopedia set. They said $60 for these. I wouldn't pay the $60. I would offer $40 potentially. I don't recall exactly these Americana books, but I mean, some of them are sort of encyclopedia-ish. So it is something I would potentially look at. I think I would offer up to $40 for it. Of course, I would want to look at it. It's cash only, but that's sort of what I expect whenever I'm doing any of this stuff. So guys, again, Facebook Marketplace could be a really good place for you guys to check out. And fun bonus, if you guys are actually watching this video, you can see my little profile picture right there. I'm not going to hover it over it because you don't need to see my name. And guys, I'm so happy no one messaged me during the time I was doing this, because I didn't want to blur out any of my friends' names either as they messaged me. So I'm happy with that one. So with that said though, guys, so far our best chance is to reach out to local people that are selling their own books. And of course, we also have the Riverton, Wyoming book sale, which I would go to, which leads us onto this final thing, which is good old thrift stores. Guys, I love thrift stores. I know some people hate them, some people love them. It's all over the board. So I'm actually going to just check out a few of these thrift shops. So let's just say we're going to I'm brain farting. Riverton. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was saying it right. Let's just say we're going here. So I'm actually going to check out each of these really quick. So we have Neat Repeat, and it's interesting how many thrift shops were out here. I was not expecting to see this many thrift shops, but here we go. So 4 photos. I like to go through the photos of these places before I go to see if they even have books. So right off the bat, it doesn't say anything about books here, which is a bit of a bummer. Sometimes you can hop down to reviews and see what people have. So are they open? Furniture. Alright, so here we go. It looks like the reviews do have some nice stuff for us to potentially check out. And I just clicked a review. I didn't want to actually do that. Sorry guys. Here we go. Upstairs, write a review. I don't need to write one. I haven't been here. More reviews. And sometimes it's just easiest to just write book in here and out with Control F if you're on PC. If you're on Mac, you're on your own because you guys probably have $5,000 computers and you can hire someone to do this for you. But with that said, just typing in book, it doesn't look like book pops up in any of these reviews. So personally, I would not go to this place expecting to see a bunch of books because, again, I didn't see that in any reviews. That's not to say there are not books here. I would potentially stop by this place if I had nothing else to do. But personally, I like to go to places that I know for a fact will have books for me to hit. So, well, books for me to get. With that said, Twice But Nice Thrift. That's a pretty good name. I approve. It looks like they... So guys, some places that are local thrift shops, some of them do not give a rip. It looks like this place gives a rip and a half. It looks like they actually care, which is really stinking sweet. So sadly, they have a lavender colored wall though, so I don't know if I like them that much. I'm kidding. Lavender's a fine color. It's just a little close to pink for me as a dude. I don't see any books, but I would strongly suspect this place has at least some books. It looks like their pricing is not terrible. $400 for a beautiful table like this is not a bad deal whatsoever. It's a little more than what I'd want to spend because I can buy the same table for $15 at an estate sale. But I would suspect the pricing here is not terrible. Again, I do not see any books in this, but I would suspect that there are books. So if I was going to go to a place, I would potentially go here to check out the books. With that said, let's just hop on down to the highlighted reviews. Management, okay, so they have a DVD selection and they have books. So right off the bat, this is one that I would go to. So Twice But Nice Thrift, which is in Riverton, and seeing as it's this part of town, I would suspect that is not too far from the library, which I don't see right here, but yeah, again, I suspect it's right around there. So very good place that I would definitely check out. Though warehouse, it's where, like, that's funny. It's a pun, guys. Don't hate me. I like puns. So with that said, though, on to the next one, 307 Thrift. Again, guys, I'm surprised how many thrift shops there are in this area, but hey, that happens sometimes. It looks like we have 39 photos to choose from, and it looks like it's in a nice old building. Wonder when this one was built. Sometimes they do a little post of it, and I think that might be this right here, but I can't quite make it out. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was 1800s or turn of the century, which is pretty cool. Got some photos. Got a lady we can draw a mustache on. Some shoes. I like the presentation of this one. Again, guys, there are some thrift shops that people just do not give a rip. It looks like this place gives a rip because literally, guys, I've been to some that it's like, wow, you didn't throw it into this building, but you definitely piled it up. Wow. It looks like this one actually has organization. Very nice. So we have some books over here on this shelf. I would personally go to this thrift shop for those books alone. I know there aren't a ton of them right there, but I would still go to this. That is interesting how many coveralls they have, or overalls, whatever you want to call them. Some crystal. And guys, I've mentioned in other videos that I've seen people do businesses just selling this glass and whatnot on eBay. Could be worth doing, definitely. A lot of coats. I'm not entirely sure if this is just thrift stuff, because they do have a lot of stuff that matches very nicely. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm not complaining, though. So it looks like that was all the photos. Alas, we did not see any up-close shots of these books, but now that I'm looking here, it looks like there is another shelf of books that we didn't see earlier. So again, guys, I would go to this place. Of course, these ones that you see in the corner here are not antique books in particular, and I know that my face is actually in the way of them, most likely. So I think I'm going to put myself in the bottom right-hand corner this week. So I'm going to actually make a note right now to put myself down in the bottom right-hand corner, so I'm not in the way, but that is something I would definitely check out, is this particular one. So this is 307 Thrift. With that said, back onto Google Maps to check this out a little bit more. And the reason why I'm using Google Maps is just because it's I find there's a lot more reviews on it, which helps me out for the research. Right here we have one thrift shop that has just one review. That's not necessarily a red flag, but it is a little bit of a bummer because you don't get a lot of content to go off of on what people have. But since they have 38 photos, I suspect you'll be able to see some good stuff. So it doesn't say thrift in the name, so there's a chance that the pricing might not be amazing. And since it says treasures, there's a good chance that they might be wanting more money for these things. Seeing as how they have so much space laid out and nicer things out here, I suspect they probably don't have a lot of just bric-a-brac stuff. Oh, it looks like they have a bunch of DVDs though, and if they do have DVDs, there's a good chance they have some books. So that is a good sign for us. Got a little bed, got a nicer bed, got a lot of repeat photos. Waiting for it. Alright, I don't see anything too exciting, but it's a cute little place. Needs a coat of paint and maybe some new siding, but good overall. And yes, I did just judge them on their siding. I'm sorry. But I wouldn't prioritize going to this one. Not saying I wouldn't go to it whatsoever. Since they had DVDs, that could be worth checking out if you guys do that for your business. But for me, As I already mentioned before, though, I am checking out some DVDs and doing that a little bit for my business right now. It's just an experiment. Just looking at this one. I'm really confused why you would buy an old restaurant with a drive-through window for your thrift shop, but they did. It looks like they have 3.6 stars. That's okay. Nice stuff, helpful stuff. I like when people actually, as the owners, respond to these things. I know that some of the owners, it's like, oh, that person was just being mean to them, and like the owners are being mean, but listen, if you're willing to defend yourself, it shows that you're probably not entirely in the wrong. With that said, onto this, a used bookstore. So used bookstore can be a good thing or can be a bad thing. Sometimes used bookstores, they want to get close to the market value of the books they're doing. Sometimes they just want to get their books sold. For me, if I start my own bookstore, which is something I want to do, I will be charging the higher prices. But there are some bookstores out there, guys, that are selling them for like $1 a book because they get them for 10 cents a book, you know. So there are a lot of different ways that people can do it. So I would definitely check this one out just to see their pricing. Personally, I wish that they made pricing, how much people charged for things, a little more easy to see on Google, but they don't. So that's that. So yeah, we did find a couple of places that I would personally check out if I was going to this area. And with that said, back on over to Casper. So as I'm in Casper right here, guys, I just wanted to highlight this town right here called Bar None. That is a legendary name. That is awesome. I wish we had a name for a town that awesome here in Oregon. The best one I think we have is Boring, because I love calling my town Boring. Boring is just a little bit to the east of me, so I think that's sort of fun. It's a neat name. PR Thrift, that's our first one. Got 33 photos. Just hopping on down to this really quick. Staff, good prices. $1 for a book. All right. Excuse me. Right off the bat, we know they have books. We know their pricing for their books is good. I would go to this place right stinking now if I was in that area. And by right now, I mean as soon as I finish this video. I'm not going to dump you guys. With that said, though, just checking these things out, just looking at the photos, see what they have. Wow, they have a ton and a half of DVDs. So, guys, potentially, I think there might be a book or two mixed in there. That's interesting. Actually, oh, these are books. I was looking at these DVDs and just thought it was all that. All right, so we got a bunch of books, just newer books. Got some older ones down here on the bottom. I would go to this place probably. I don't see a whole lot of things that are really my thing, but definitely would be worth going to. It's a bummer the photos taken were from a camera from like 2001. Going through this, just seeing a bunch of different things. Ooh, shiny. So yeah, I think this is a good thrift shop. I'd personally hit this one up and pick up the books that they have. Still just going through really quick. Oh, I can't skip back to the beginning. Woo, back to the beginning. Bloop. Alright, so I don't know how many books there are here because this shelving might go further back from where the camera is. Based on this, though, I would say this is a good sale that you could go to. I don't see any egregious stickers on it. Some places they put stickers on every single thing and it just ruins all the books. But yeah, this definitely looks like a good place that you could hit up. With that said, on to New Vision Thrift Store. So 7 reviews, so it's either a newer place or just not as popular of a place, but that's fine. Ministry of Vision Beyond Borders, which means it's most likely a Christian organization, which is very nice. Need to change the hours. Whoop-de-doo. Everything should do. Just a bunch of angry people. Great treasures to be found. Nothing talking necessarily about what they got, which means time to look at photos. Oh, they have one of those sandboxes. I've only seen the ones that are ladybugs most of the time. I think I might have seen one of those turtle ones before, but yeah. Sandbox, if you guys want a sandbox. Just seeing some random odds and ends. I don't see any books, though. I mean, not saying there aren't any. Maybe I'm just blind as a bat right now, but I don't see any. Potentially could be worth calling in, but again, I don't see any, so there might not be any here. Goodwill. I know some people hate Goodwill. I know some people love it, but I personally am maybe neutral positive on it. How about that? There's definitely been some Goodwills I've had a whole lot of luck at. There's definitely some that I've had zero luck at. I find small town Goodwills do a whole lot better for me. And guys, for me, I live in the Portland metro area, and our district of Goodwill stores is actually one of the most expensive. I think it might be the most expensive Goodwill system in the entirety of America. So I do end up spending more than a lot of you people, especially those of you that complain. Just know you could have it as bad as me because, again, the Portland metro area is actually, and a lot of the other area around us, believe it or not, is some of the most expensive Goodwills in the country, I guess, because I've seen a couple of data statistics on that one. I thought that was quite interesting. But with that said, I still do find some good deals at Goodwill. I don't go to Goodwills most of the time because I do have other places that I do find a lot of good books at, but hey, you do what you do. So with that said, Goodwill. We already saw the books, but I'm just going to see if we can get a better look at the books. Obviously, the books that we see are not going to be the ones they have anymore, most likely. And if they are, then wow, they need to sell more of their books. With that said, just flipping through, there's some books. It looks like potentially they might have some Goodwill, quote-unquote, the bins style stuff going on right now. I know that these are not books. I mean, we can see right here that these are VHS tapes, and people do sell those. People make some good money selling VHSs. Ooh, I see some books. I see some vintage books. I'm excited right now. So yeah, I would definitely go to this Goodwill if I was in Casper. So yeah, Goodwill, absolute win. That is a big fat check mark from me on this one. So with that said, on to the next one. And yes, I know I'm just murdering you guys with a bunch of thrift shops right now. This is a very large one, so I suspect they have a lot of really cool stuff here. Of course, they might get a little warehousey. Yeah, it does look a little warehousey, but that's totally fine. I like some of these warehousey ones sometimes. We got a boatload of books. I am in absolute heaven right now. We got some vintage ones. Got a couple newer ones, a couple more vintage. Looks like we got some, where did I see those Reader Digest ones here? I would not buy the Reader Digest ones. People don't really buy those. Actually, back right here. Okay, sorry, wanted to check out those again. But yeah, I would totally go to this place, check them out for books if I was in the Casper area. Just gonna scroll through since there's 5,000 photos. And I don't see any more shots of books. It does look though like it is a Christian non-profit business. Oh, what is this? That is funny. Alright, got a close-up of some books. That's a pretty pathetic tiny selection, but still not terrible. And I know they have more books because we saw the other photo with more books in it. So with that said, though, I think we can count ourselves as happy. I would go to this place if I were in the area. Next up, and let me just check. Man, there are so many stinking thrift shops. This is crazy. Rescue Treasures Thrift Shop West. I think this is affiliated with the other one that we already looked at. How do you get so many thrift shops in one town, guys? This is nuts. I'm a little bit jealous of how many thrift shops you guys have. I like how spread out everything is. Oh, there we go. Got some books, not a whole lot of books. If I was in the area and I had nothing else to do, I would go here. But if I was stressed for time for the weekend, so with all the things going on this weekend for this area. I don't know for sure if I'd hit this on a weekend, but on a weekday, I think I would totally hit this up just because there is a good enough selection that you could find some good things. With that said, on to this Methodist one, and I think we're actually going to call it good after the Methodist one. So just going to open it on up, hop on down to reviews, and I know I haven't checked reviews on all of them, but that's okay. I don't see anything about books right off the bat, but that is fine. Yeah, nothing about books. And opening on up the photos. So we have 18 photos. How much you guys want to bet we have books? I think we do. So a little cluttered, but that's fine. Going on through. Man, you must be skinny to shop here. I don't see any books. Doesn't mean there necessarily aren't any, but that is totally fine. I would honestly suspect they have at least a couple though, because a lot of the Christian-oriented ones will have books because Christians have Bibles. Bibles are books. Books get read, and people that read at least one book normally read at least two. So that's something that I normally find is a good case, is if you have a Christian nonprofit, a lot of the time you'll have books present, unless of course if it is like just a clothing only Christian thing, or a food only food bank or something like that. But most of the time you will have books. And I would also like to highlight, guys, their hours. I like Sunday, gone to church. That is legendary right there. That's funny. So with that said though, guys, it looks like your best case if you're going to actually pause and unpause. So guys, I'm back. Just wanted to summarize things. So it looks like if I was in Casper, Wyoming, I would spend my weekend A, going to all the thrift shops in Casper, or B, which is more what I would personally do if I was in the area, I would drive on over to Riverton. I would hit the Friends Library sale there, and then I would also hit whatever thrift shops are there that I mentioned earlier. But more particularly, I'd actually also check out to see if there's any garage sales and estate sales over there as well, because at the end of the day, if you live in Casper, you're going to have another chance most likely to buy all the books that are there. Of course, there's going to be a couple of things that you will miss out on, but every now and then I do, in my business, I like to go out, drive far away, and buy all the books in that entire town that I can, and then get on back, because that town is going to need some time to recover. Might be a year, might be just a few months to recover from all the books that I took from them, but my own town here, it's always here. I'm always able to source for stuff. So for me, I personally like to prioritize the far-flung trips, but for you guys, you can sort of decide what you personally want to do. So with that said and done though, guys, thank you for watching. Again, this was a whole live stream thing, so if you didn't get to ask any of your questions in the live stream area, whatever side that was on, the live chat, you guys can ask them down in the comments below. I will try my best to get to you on that. But with that said and done though, thank you for watching. I hope to see you guys in another video, which you guys can check out over there. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.